That moment when the lights turn green as you approach, the book that falls open to exactly the page you need, the random stranger who mentions the exact problem you've been wrestling with. These aren't coincidences, they're conversations. The universe is constantly speaking to you through a language older than words, but here's the question that changes everything. Are you listening? Stay with me for the next few minutes because I'm going to reveal why these cosmic whispers might be the most important messages you'll ever receive, and how the ancient practice of gratitude can transform them from background noise into your personal roadmap to transformation. The concept of a communicative cosmos isn't new. From Pythagoras' music of the spheres to Jung's synchronicity, humanity's greatest minds have sensed patterns beyond randomness. What's changed is our ability to listen. We've become cosmically deaf. Buried under notifications, deadlines, and digital noise, we've lost the fundamental human capacity to perceive meaning in the world around us. This isn't just spiritual bankruptcy. It's a form of existential malnourishment. Let's strip away the New Age glitter and examine what's actually happening when we talk about the universe calling us. We're not discussing supernatural telephone lines or cosmic text messages. We're talking about something both simpler and more profound: resonance. In quantum physics, entangled particles instantly affect each other regardless of distance. In string theory, reality itself consists of vibrating patterns. The mystical traditions intuited this interconnectedness millennia ago. As the Hermetic principle states, as above, so below, as within, so without. The boundaries we perceive between ourselves and the world are more permeable than we realize. When you experience meaningful coincidences, what Jung called synchronicities, you're glimpsing this deeper pattern. You're catching fragments of a conversation that's been happening all along, just below the threshold of ordinary awareness. Here's where most manifestation teachings go wrong. They frame this relationship as transactional. Visualize wealth, get wealth, imagine success, receive success. This reduces the universe to a cosmic vending machine and ourselves to spiritual consumers. The actual dynamic is far more dialectical, more alive. The universe isn't your servant, it's your interlocutor. And gratitude isn't just a feel-good emotion, it's the fundamental frequency that makes communication possible. Think about actual human conversation. When someone speaks and you immediately start formulating your response without truly listening, genuine dialogue becomes impossible. The same applies cosmically. Constant wanting, striving, and desiring creates so much internal noise that we can't hear what's being communicated to us. Gratitude creates silence, not the empty silence of absence, but the pregnant silence of attention. When you practice genuine gratitude, not the superficial kind where you mechanically list things you should be thankful for, but the profound recognition of the gift of each moment, you enter a receptive state. You become cosmically audible. This isn't abstract theory. The philosophical traditions of phenomenology and hermeneutics have long recognized that perception itself is participatory. We don't passively receive reality, we actively interpret it, and our interpretive framework determines what we're capable of perceiving. A mind dominated by lack, criticism, and negativity literally cannot perceive certain aspects of reality. It's like trying to tune into a radio frequency using the wrong receiver. Gratitude recalibrates your perceptual apparatus to receive on frequencies previously inaccessible. Ancient wisdom traditions understood this mechanism. The Buddhist practice of mudita, or sympathetic joy, and the Stoic exercise of negative visualization weren't just moral prescriptions, they were attentional technologies designed to shift one's perception toward abundance, rather than scarcity. So how do we begin this practice authentically without falling into spiritual materialism or toxic positivity? First, recognize that gratitude isn't something you do, it's something you become. It's not about forcing positive thoughts over negative ones in some internal spiritual battle. It's about cultivating a quality of presence that naturally perceives the giftedness of existence. Start with what philosopher Martin Heidegger called releasement, Gelassenheit, a letting go of your habitual ways of encountering the world. For 5 minutes each day, set aside your normal goal-oriented consciousness. Don't try to accomplish anything, including feeling grateful. Simply bear witness to what is already occurring. Notice the automatic functioning of your lungs, the intricate sensation of air on skin, the play of light and shadow. Don't label these as good or bad, just acknowledge the sheer miracle that they exist at all. From this ground of wondering presence, authentic gratitude emerges naturally, not as an emotional state you manufacture but as a recognition of the astonishing gift of participation in existence itself. Once this foundation is established, you can introduce a more directed practice. Not the typical gratitude journal approach which often degenerates into spiritual bookkeeping, but something deeper. Each evening, identify one event from your day that initially seemed negative or neutral, perhaps a delay, an inconvenience, a change of plans. Now, with the benefit of retrospection, explore how this apparent obstacle created unexpected openings. What conversations, insights, or opportunities emerged that wouldn't have otherwise. This isn't positive reframing or silver lining thinking, it's phenomenological investigation. You're examining how your initial interpretation closed you off from perceiving the multidimensional nature of the event. As philosopher Maurice Merleau-Ponty noted, our perception is always partial. We never see objects in their totality, only aspects, profiles, angles. The same applies to experiences. Your initial judgment captures just one profile of a multifaceted event. Through this practice, you'll begin noticing how many calls from the universe you've been missing. The person who irritated you was carrying a message. The unexpected detour was a redirection towards something essential. The apparent failure was creating space for a more aligned possibility. This perceptual shift doesn't happen overnight. The mind's habitual patterns of judgment, categorization, and narrative making are deeply ingrained. You're essentially learning a new cognitive language, and like any language acquisition, it requires immersion and practice. Here's where community becomes vital. Surround yourself with others engaged in similar perceptual retraining. Not to create an echo chamber of spiritual bypassing, but to support each other in maintaining this alternative orientation toward experience. The results of this practice are both subtle and revolutionary. You'll begin noticing connections where you previously saw only chaos. Meaningful patterns will emerge from apparent randomness. Not because you're imposing meaning onto neutral events, but because you're developing the perceptual sensitivity to recognize the meaning that was already there. This shift changes everything, not because the universe suddenly starts responding to your wishes, but because you start responding to the universe. The cosmic conversation that's been happening all along suddenly becomes audible. Guidance that's been constantly offered becomes receivable. And here's the phenomenon that conventional manifestation teachings misinterpret. When you enter this state of grateful receptivity, life does seem to conspire in your favor. Doors open, resources appear, supportive synchronicities multiply. Not because you've mastered some cosmic law of attraction, but because you've aligned yourself with what was already in motion. You've removed the perceptual obstacles that were preventing you from flowing with currents already moving through your life. As philosopher Gaston Bachelard wrote, the characteristic of poetry is that it gives us back the situations of our dreams. When you learn to listen to the universe through the practice of gratitude, you enter a similar state, not of fantasy but of heightened receptivity to the dreamlike correspondences that constitute reality itself. The universe is indeed calling you right now in this very moment, not through supernatural means but through the ordinary miracle of existence itself. Everything around you carries a message if approached with the right kind of attention. The question isn't whether these calls are happening, it's whether you'll develop the gratitude-based attention necessary to receive them. Because when you do, you don't just change your perception of life, you change your life itself.